one-of-one event. It's something that will never happen again. We have this video rendering of what we have the trees that are in the, the south lawn. We'll know exactly where the sun is until it sets. So all the logistics are done. And now it's time we believe that this is going to be the most watched UFC event ever. This is going to be the most unique, amazing night of our entire careers. So, the fighters are walking from the Oval Office and I bet a lot of the people that cover the sport and are fans of the sport probably never even been to the White House before, and obviously the fighters. So this is a really night. And when we go to do something, I like to deliver, and I like to deliver big. So it's going to be special.
All right, so
Dana White did not just announce a fight card when he said the White House lineup was locked in. He fired a starting gun that sent the entire sport into a state of suspended animation, waiting for names that will define careers forever. The UFC is staging an event on the south lawn of the White House, with fighters walking out from the Oval Office, and every single matchup on that card carries a weight that no stadium, no arena, and no pay-per-view in the history of combat sports has ever come close to replicating.
I've heard the new talk is that Conor McGregor, Jorge Masvidal could be a potential.
Oh, no,
What's your thoughts? Oh, you haven't heard this?
No.
This is the biggest thing on social media now. Everyone's talking, that Chandler's out and Masvidal's in.
In my algorithm on Instagram, I have nothing MMA.
Right?
Literally nothing MMA pops.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't listen to any of the goofy shit
No.
that goes. No.
Is that considered goofy?
That's goofy shit. Yeah. So we've been kicking around a lot of ideas, and I don't know. Me and Borsari actually fly to D.C. this week and sit down with the president and his team and start walking them through not just the production but the fight card. We have like 3 different options on all the different production stuff, and see what he likes and what he doesn't like. But let me tell you this: it is this event is going to be so badass and so unique and so special. And so expensive.
When Ilia Topuria steps into an octagon positioned in the most politically charged real estate on planet Earth, he is not just defending a belt, he is putting his entire unbeaten legacy on the line, under the full, undivided attention of a global audience that extends far beyond MMA fans. Giga Chikadze brings a level of relentless, unpredictable aggression that has the specific, terrifying ability to transform even the most composed and technically dominant champions into scrambling, desperate brawlers, searching for answers they have never needed before.
it's not this is not the final card.
I didn't say it was done.
Because
Replay.
He said the card was built.
Card's done.
Okay, Rick? That's what he
because then
said.
Trump
He didn't
goes,
say
I
he
don't like
meant
this,
though
I don't like
was
that.
Beating up babies.
Trump is gonna see the card and be like, "Where's Derek Lewis?"
And Conor McGregor is not fighting Derek Lewis, according to
We're gonna need to make a couple changes. We're gonna need Conor versus Derek at least in the headliner.
twice.
And then I don't see myself versus 1,000 babies.
The mental warfare begins weeks before anyone throws a single punch, because the pressure of performing on that platform is a completely different psychological test than anything these fighters have ever been asked to survive inside a professional, competitive environment. One miscalculation, one moment of hesitation, one tactical error broadcast in front of millions of people watching from every corner of the world, and an entire career built on sacrifice and discipline gets permanently redefined in the worst possible way.
Yeah, Baron, throw that jab out, Baron. Come on. Man, live, breathe, and die by it. So we have no idea who's going to be on it still. We don't even know who's going to be on UFC 327 in April. That's neither here nor there. We don't have any main event.
No, but the whole fucking sport the whole promotion is being held up by this. There's no title fights booked. There's nothing. So are all of them happening?
A fantastic point. No title fights booked right now. We've only had one undisputed title fight in 2026.
Alex Pereira is already posting. Gable Stevenson is already campaigning. Sean O'Malley is calling out Jan for a White House slot. and the entire roster is essentially lined up outside Dana White's office asking to be part of something they instinctively understand is different from everything that came before it. That level of fighter-driven demand tells you everything you need to know about what this event actually represents, because elite competitors with options do not chase opportunities this aggressively unless they sense that being on this card changes the trajectory of their entire professional legacy.
Alex Pereira posted earlier the 1, 2, 3, let's go. He wants to be on the White House card. Gable Steveson, if he wins in emphatic fashion, he wants to be on the White House card. Sean O'Malley posted a video about what his next fight could be. Here's what he had to say.
I'm ready to fight Jan. Me versus Jan at the White House. Like, what the fuck else are you gonna do? What the fuck else is there to do? I hope you knock out Jan. I will. Sugar versus Peter with co-main event. That's what I'm talking about. Shit, boy.
The uncomfortable truth about this situation is that while the White House card builds momentum, the rest of the UFC schedule has essentially frozen in place, with no title fights confirmed and only one undisputed championship bout having taken place in all of 2026 so far. Every rising challenger, every contender grinding through camps right now, every athlete whose livelihood depends on getting booked into meaningful fights is sitting in a holding pattern while the organization's entire promotional energy pours into a single night that has not even confirmed its main event publicly.
There's got to be a place for a guy that can represent America. You know, I feel like I don't think there's one American champion right now besides Gaethje, but he's kind of the interim. So if the White House happens for me, it happens for me. You know, if it doesn't, I keep moving on and the next thing will come and the next big thing will arise for me. But I would love to be on the White House card. That would mean a lot, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't happen.
He talks about being an American champion. It's not just the American champions that want on. Your 170-pound champion, Islam Makhachev, he talked about being on the White House card as well. Here's what he had to say.
Let's do it. I tell them I will be ready soon.
Dana White flying to Washington to sit down with the president and walk him through production options and fight card selections is not a promotional stunt. It is a calculated repositioning of combat sports inside a political and cultural conversation that reaches audiences the UFC has spent 20 years trying to access. The fighters walking from the Oval Office is a visual that will be replayed in highlight packages for decades, and every athlete on that card knows that their face will be permanently associated with a moment that transcends the sport itself, regardless of whether they win or lose.
We will make the fighting in White House. I want to be in history.
All right, so we're getting everyone and their brothers and sisters calling for the White House card. The sport is literally on hold. Everyone's like, why do you keep talking about the White House card? It's like, because every single athlete and promoter is talking about it as well. So we get the Dana White. It's built. You know, we're going to go pass it by Trump, everything like that. We got a couple of options to go. Then we also get a tweet from Alvaro Colmenero at Colmenero on X, and he reports the plan that the UFC is trying to make involves Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje as the main event.
Conor McGregor appearing on a White House fight card would not just be a return from a prolonged absence, it would be the single largest pay-per-view driver in the history of the sport, colliding with the single largest promotional platform the sport has ever been offered at the exact same moment. The problem, according to people inside the negotiations, is not motivation anymore. The problem is that McGregor's financial expectations and the UFC's current willingness to meet that number represent a gap that pure historical sentimentality and patriotic staging alone may not be enough to close.
Would that be White House standard for you guys, main event?
I think it is. I think it is one of the best fighters in the world. I'd love to see him back there. I think it's great. I know a lot of people, first time I spoke about this, the idea of these two fighting at the White House, a lot of people were annoyed because I was like, is this the look America wants? You know, because I have a feeling I know who's going to win that one. No disrespect to Gaethje, I just think Ilia is the fucking man at the moment. Love that fight, honestly. What do you think, Rick, as an American?
I don't care about the the
Wow,
patriotism aspect.
this is meant to be about America, mate.
John Jones versus Conor McGregor remains the most commercially explosive option available, and the one matchup that would push this card from historic to genuinely unprecedented in terms of mainstream cultural impact and pay-per-view numbers that the sport has never come close to generating before. Both names carry the kind of gravitational pull that drags in audiences who have not watched a fight in years, and placing them together on a card at the White House during the nation's 250th anniversary creates a moment that every television executive, every brand partner, and every casual sports fan cannot rationally ignore.
I think
You last week said this would be a disappointment.
I think people on Twitter and Instagram and the wide majority of MMA fans would be disappointed with this.
They're very positive people, though, usually on X, I found.
They're also
especially
logical,
after the Tom article.
Logical, you know, and
Critical
empathetic,
thinkers.
critical thinkers is this fan base. I think people would be disappointed with this being the main event.
Really?
I think it's good.
Yep.
I think it's good enough. I think the return of Ilia is going to feel big, and if you put it on the White House, I think people can finally kind of just like, Alex is out of the running. It's going to take some maneuvering to get there, but I still think John versus Alex is the most easy one to make. But if you have Conor McGregor versus anybody, I think that can take it to the next level. I would sitting here right now, I think they will get one of Conor or John. That's what I think. Yeah.
Still think.
Yeah.
There's a potential for Conor and John.
I do.
Conor needs to fight. I keep saying it. This is like, I really feel like he needs to fight more than he has in a very long time. Just for Conor, I think he wants the PR week that goes with fighting, not only just for himself but for all of the enterprises around him. I think more than ever, I think he will give this an honest to God go. Like the other times he's been getting ready, I just didn't feel like his head was in it at all. And look, I don't necessarily think that it's ever going to be what it was. I was around that guy and I thought he was the best fighter in the world for a very short period of time, but he was magic. Everything he touched turned to gold. We haven't seen that guy in a decade pretty much. And
the other things that he's doing, I think the problem is going to be the contract. I think the problem is going to be Conor McGregor's expectations of what he needs to be paid, and the UFC no longer being in the business of paying that price is going to be the friction point. I don't think it's the motivation anymore.
It's a good point.
I think it's going to be the money. I think there's a world where they come to Conor McGregor and, like, you know, the Pawn Star.
Topuria's precision and surgical technical execution against the kind of relentless forward-moving chaos that Giga brings represents a style collision that needs zero promotional narrative attached to it, because the contrast alone generates the tension that makes championship fights impossible to look away from. The question that nobody can answer right now is whether Topuria's fortress of composure holds firm when the entire world is watching, when the political weight of the setting adds a psychological burden that training camp simulations simply cannot prepare any competitor to handle. Dana White is not just building a fight card. He is orchestrating a moment that will be discussed in political circles, in sports history books, and in combat sports conversations for the next 50 years, regardless of which matchups end up locked in on the final lineup. Every fighter campaigning for a spot, every fan debating the card online, and every media outlet analyzing the implications is collectively participating in the largest pre-event buildup the sport has ever generated, and not a single official announcement beyond the location has even been made yet.